Hello, everyone. This is the Impact Live Show, and my name is Isioma Success Olubenga. Again, today we are here, and what we do primarily on this show is to inspire impact for everyday people. Today is a wonderful, beautiful day in Lagos, Nigeria. It's been raining all day, most part of the morning, and we welcome all our viewers from all around the world. We welcome you into the show. Please share the video and also watch us on YouTube. The link is scrolling right now on the screen. And please remember to subscribe to this channel. This show is one that encourages and inspires us to make everyday impacts every day. We believe that every one of us are created for impact, and there is something that every one of us have to give to our world. And so every time on the show, we bring up guests that inspire us in the various areas of impact that they have been working on. And we hope that while they share their stories, their impact stories would also inspire us and help us to begin to live our impact. Today on the show is very peculiar. It's the first time on the show. We are still on the Chronicles of Impact series. And today we are going to be sharing with an amazing couple. It's the first time that we're having a couple on the show. It's a major, major, beautiful milestone for us on the show. And I'm excited to introduce our first couple guests, Yemi and Yvonne it's Awosanya-Adefajo. I apologize. Yeah, so they are wonderful, a wonderful couple that I've watched and I've seen how they've lived their lives, really making impact in the life of young people, and most recently by an amazing product that they just launched that is also a tool for them to bring support and strength to families, young families waiting to conceive, and nursing, and young families and that are just having their children. And so they're just going to tell us a lot about what they're doing, what they've done, where they've been, how they've journeyed all through this last year's journeyed as single people, journeyed as a couple, and how both of them have worked together to inspire and to impact with their lives. So just without much ado, I will just go straight to get into the studio with me today, Yemi and Yvonne Adefajo. Yes. Please make welcome with me my beautiful guest.
Ooh. Hey, hello everyone.
Hello.
Hey, great to be here. Great to be here. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow. I'm more excited than I think you are. I'm very excited to just have both of you on the studio today. Like I was telling our viewers just a minute ago, it's the first time I'm having a couple guests, and it's very special to my heart. The show today is special to my heart because you are a couple and living impact every day with your lives. And more so, you are wonderful friends to me. So you are people I know, I watch, I see what you do. Not for the grams, actually. The things that you do, not for the grams, I've seen, and it's been very impactful to the people around you. And today I celebrate the work that you do, Yvonne and Yemi. Thank you. So, welcome on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Great to be here as well. Great show you have on. Fantastic. Love every bit of it.
Thank you.
Well done.
So much. Thank you. Later in the show, I'm going to reveal one very serious secret later in the show. So, just going into the show briefly, very quickly, I would like to read their profile. It's our custom here to read the profile of our guests when they come in. But of course, beyond the profile, like I always say, they're going to have to introduce and help us to meet them. So I'm going to read very quickly. Yemi and Yvonne Awosanya-Adefajo are serial entrepreneurs, a couple working together with years of experience in the media and publishing. They have worked to birth great media content, brands, and people. They run a reading club in schools called Scholarmania Readers and Writers Club, with a vision to restore the reading culture in the younger generation through well-written books and creative content. They have visited over 250 schools and still counting. They are founders of My Baby's First Africa, a social impact enterprise focused on supporting expectant, waiting, and nursing mothers through the early phases of their childbirth and development. Their flagship product, My Baby's First Delivery Kit, is a branded delivery kit containing all the essentials for baby delivery. They deliver this all across Nigeria at an affordable cost. They are committed to bridging identifiable gaps in the society and helping people tap into the potentials and bet their dreams. They are also youth pastors, leading youths and young adults. They are blissfully married with 3 amazing children. See, these guys are, okay, very quickly. I just want our viewers today to meet Yvonne and Yemi Awosanya-Adefajo. Can you help us experience both of you? So over to you.
Okay, so I start first.
Yes,
first, right?
please.
Okay, so I'll say that we're on the impact show. So before we got married, okay, I've always been that person that is about want to do things for people. Okay, I've always been a writer, and leadership is something that I'll just say it's like I ran into leadership. I'll say more like every time there was an opportunity to do something and there was a vacuum, I kind of always said, okay, let's try to fill it. So I lived a life more like looking for solutions. And really and truly, we are solutions that people are waiting for. So all you just need to do is more like look out and see what can be done. So you find a vacuum and all you're doing is stepping in. So this is who I've always been before tada enter Yemi into my life.
But that was what that's what I was. That's what I was before tada she entered into my life. So we've always had. I have had so many. Just looking back now, with the summary that she just gave, it just basically helps you just understand why you do what you do. There is a God who's preparing your half as well, and has our own experiences. And at the end of the day, by the time we look at both the books we have all been keeping at the place of marriage, you discover, hey, guess what? Just me, just like you're me, you're a man in a woman's and it's been an awesome one. Over, how many years now? 11 years, thereabout. We married, and before we got married, there's always been a Yemi and Yvonne kind of a thing, and we've been effortlessly just committed to see people better, to see societies better, see how you can add value to systems. It's not about, it has never been about us, it has been about what we do and how we do what we do. Basically being impactful. And I think that's just the bottom line of everything else. Marrying children, guess what, guys? That's by the way. If that doesn't define you. But then when you now begin to do you, and God sees that, okay, this guy is, I need to give him the helpmate that's going to complement what he's doing, and vice versa. You find out that, hey, I've been all my life. All my life. That's just our story. That's just our story.
Amazing story. Amazing story. I most of our guests on the show, it's been one thing that's been obvious, that everyone somehow something within their growing up days were pointers. Sometimes they knew, sometimes they may not have known. But I would like to ask you, when did you consciously begin to really think about impact as something that, I know Yvonne had always, I'd known Yvonne for many years, but I know that there's always a point in our lives that we begin to consciously begin to envision ourselves as change makers. We may not have clarity about everything that we're set to do, but what was that time? When was it for you, for either of you, and even as a couple? When did you both begin? And I know that generically, a lot of people will say that you come together as a couple to work together. But when did you really think and begin to really envision both of you together doing the things that you're doing now? Have you always thought about it? I know that both of you have been doing this things, and of course, everybody dreams that, okay, my husband will work with me on this, but it doesn't always work like that. But when did you really begin to find the synergy of the individual things you have been doing, recognizing that they were actually made for impact and they were supposed to be used for impact, and not just because I also know you are entrepreneurs. So it's one thing to work together as entrepreneurs and make money, but it's another thing for your lives to really count beyond money and beyond this lifetime. When did you start thinking that way, and very strategically too? Can you share with us?
Okay. Well, I'll say this question is a multi-layered question, by the way.
Yeah.
Questions upon questions. So I'm going to try to go to what I think is the base for me, which is the question that says, where did impact begin? So thinking about it, I mean, it's a good question, because I actually have never thought about it before. When I think about it now, I'm a firstborn. So you know how firstborns are, and it's just when you're born and you're the first child, it's just wired inside you that you must look after your siblings. So I've always had that thing of looking after siblings. So that's part of it. But another part of it is, there were things that used to upset me. So you get angry about things, and I look at the society and I get annoyed. And the question I used to ask is, what can I do? What can I do? And what I realize is that there are two types of people. The people that will just look at a problem and they would do nothing and they walk away, or those that will look at it and will try to make a difference. So I'll say that a lot of things I did came from trying to respond to the anger I felt. So out of that anger, I would say, I'll just say, let's try and fix this thing. Let's try and fix this. Let's try and do this. So every time there was a situation and there's a problem that is facing everyone, and I'm angry, why is this thing happening? The next thought in my head is, we got to do something about this. Oh yeah, let's try and fix it. And that's, oh yeah, let's try and fix it, now comes out as something. So that really had always been my story. Okay, had really always been my story. So I don't know, when you're back.
Okay, all right. So just thinking back at it now, I think what for me, every part of my life actually. Of course, I'm also a firstborn in my family. Mine wasn't a case of being committed to say I have. Well, I'm not conscious of that. I'm not conscious of that, but I'm sure it's part of the default. But for me, it wouldn't be a case of everywhere that I've been, I have a nature of just defaultly being present. Being present. And being present means absorbing what is going on where you are and contributing to it. And that is not going to be, it can't be defined as being forward or being proud. No. It's just being present. You can't be in a meeting and you're not significant in the meeting. You were let into the meeting because you're a being and you have something to contribute. Then you should contribute something. And when I keep contributing, it now dawns on people around that, look, this guy has something. And I tell you, all through, university, in fact, sorry, let me go backwards a bit. Primary school, I wish I could go to nursery school, but I don't know nothing about nursery. So primary school, university, NYSC, across board. I've been in places where I just say something and what I said added value to the system and consistently doing that. Let me give you a shocker. So here we go. I tell this story a lot. And just to inspire somebody there. I said, when I was during my NYC, of course, NYC, the beautiful thing about NYC, except if you schemed yourself, good enough, maybe you did. But when you get to that campground, everybody makes a no man's land. You're all brand new. Nobody knows except your colleagues that you know, but everybody. And then it's like a group of people coming together, and everybody's showing their skills, and everybody's just playing, just doing, and of course the ones who are screaming and screaming. Anyway, so what happened to me? I got to the campground, and by the time we started interacting, again, being just me, people around me started, the entire platoon started like, hey, this guy. So when it was time for them to choose the what's called the platoon leader, everybody was like, that guy. I love the way that guy thinks. So I became it. Now, this is where it actually makes a lot more sense. So from there, we were dispatched into our, what's it called now? The place of primary, the local government where you're sent to for service. So we're dispatched there. And of course, at that time, everybody was blank because now it's a new level. You have to now get there and everything. And then we got there I was dispatched to Plateau North, Lantern North, Plateau State, Lantern, Plateau State. So we went there, got there, and everybody, by that time, was just after the war they had at that time, was another community. And anyway, so we got there, and there was no coordinator for us. So we're just by ourselves. And typical me. So what do we do? How do we arrange ourselves and just hey, so much before you know it, I started talking and putting myself in the front. Who sent the message? Nobody. But I started there's a gap. We need to fill that gap. Let's just coordinate ourselves and everything. I started doing that. Before you know it, within them, everybody just said, okay, we need to have somebody that will represent us. Go and be that guy. Me again. So I now became that. Then, little did I know, when our coordinator came from the center, the NYC man came in and said, it's not for you guys to choose your leader. We are going to choose your leader for you. Okay, said, all right, so who is the leader? I said, okay. And he asked me, what's my name? I said, my name. He said, what's my number? And I mentioned my number, and I was like, wait a minute. And I went to his book. I opened his book, and I was like, oh, you're actually the one that we chose from. We didn't even know. I didn't know that they chose me. I came here, which basically just says, it's who you are. See a room for an impact. You come in, you do what you can do. Yeah. This is not a case of somebody plotting or scheming anything. This is just, it's an identity, a personality. You cannot be somewhere and not add value. And that's what I am all about. So if it was just like that, showing me that, look, there is something that you're meant to be given. Just keep giving what you're giving. Keep doing what you're doing. God will use all of those things to achieve what he wants to achieve. But I'm just me. So impact is a default. If I was thrown to Somalia tomorrow, brethren, I'm going to do the same thing. It would just be me. I think that's just my bit.
Yeah, then I'll say for both of us, the first time we met in church. Okay, church is where we met.
We are church people.
Or like,
church.
or like church leadership. So, I mean, there were things that we needed to do in church, and the same thing brought us together, trying to solve a problem. So this concept of impact is this is who I am, this is who he is, and then somehow just brought us together. And it was in the course of creating impact for young people in the church and all that. While we're doing that, that's kind of where we happened. And then we continued. And then it's been a journey. Now, like he has mentioned, he's the firstborn, I'm the firstborn. I mean, I've been prefect, head girl in primary school, head girl in secondary school. Leadership has followed us. But in marriage, it's a bit different. So impact is done, but it's done from a place where two have become one. So it's two becoming one. And what I think for us, the primary focus is just being able to say that everybody that we meet, we make them better. Okay, that's it. We make them better. So it has been an interesting journey. Through this journey, we have birthed a lot of ideas, businesses. Not all of them have come to the light. Some of them, not all of them have come to the light. We've birthed solutions. There's so much that we've created. I mean, and I think one of the things that helps us together is both of us, we constantly create stuff. So every time I'm with him, he's like my muse. Let me put it that way. So we are together and we see a problem. And because we have the immediate reaction to a problem is solution. So first of all, that whole thing of complaining is not, we don't do that complaining thing. So it's not okay. What can we do? How can we solve it? What should we do? And then we just get at it. So that's been our impact.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. You know, what you just said brings me to my next question, which is, you both are you run a couple of things together, businesses together. Why was it important like that you functioned together also with impact? Did any of you feel dragged into, and I know that yes, maybe not both of you wanted solutions, but did you want solutions for the same things? Was it in all things that you wanted to reflect your impact? Was it in everything that um, um, you were willing to impact or live impactfully with, or let your contribution be known for? Was it in everything that your husband or your wife was interested in? Did any of you at any time feel dragged into something? Maybe even did you feel dragged into something Yemi was thinking in his head that he wanted to make a solution about? Or did you also feel dragged into something that, you know, I'm not really into this. Why do you want me to do this? Yes, because it's one thing for both of you to just love to, find solutions to things, but at what point must they be the same things? It seems like both of you had even been able to close in that gap of also making impact in some mainly the same things. I know that there might be other things that you could share with us, but I've seen you also do, the work of impact just as you do business with almost the same thing. So my question is it in everything that you feel like you have to impact together? Are there things that you think differently about? How do you deal with that when that time comes? Do you or any of you feel dragged into something the other person wants to make impact with? Yeah. Or have you ever
That
felt
question, that very question, oh my goodness, I have a list of things that she's brought up, and I felt, no, I'm not doing it. It's not gonna happen. And interesting enough, there are some of them that when I finally get to understand what she's trying to do, we end up doing them. Let me give you an instance. Like the cards. So here we go. Back in the day, before we even got married, she and her friend used to do Christmas cards, birthday card, all that kind of cards thing. And it was with so much passion, but I failed woefully at it, terribly. Failed woefully. But they were doing it so bad that her dad would say, that you're doing that card, that card's not gonna work. Anyways, so we got into, and then she brought the card into, I think 2 years in marriage or so, and the card showed up. And I looked at this card. Is it the same card that you have it? And I kept on saying, this is absolute rubbish, it's not going to work. It's not going to, and I have a way of not saying it's not going to work, but rather I would just be nonchalant about it, just go, okay, I'm not going to get involved. I'm just going to, and it's not about hatred, just the fact that I have not seen it. Now that's very critical with anything that I'm doing. I got to see it. I got to be shown what it is. God has to just put my mind to just say, there's something here. And I was waiting for that, but it never came until one fateful period. And I was like, this cards.
3 years later, 2, 3 years.
3 years, about 3 years, exactly 3 years. And I just went, I said, this cards. And by the time I picked it up and I put my kind of thinking into it, because the thing about it, each of us have our area of strength. Yeah. And we always play with that a lot. If I'm going to do anything and I have not had her put our mind to it, it's lacking something, and vice versa. Everything we've done has been like that. And I said, okay, let me look at these cards. She's done all the basic work. I mean, there's a card there and everything. I said, okay, let me see what I can do. And I picked up the cards. I can't remember exactly the details, but I know that one, we have to start going for great designs. We have to start thinking how we're going to print it. And I did all that part, and then I picked up the cards and I hit the road. I went selling.
When you hit the road, you sold 7,000.
7,000 packs or so. And I was like, and I was like, what am I doing? Why come I didn't see this stuff? This is great. So sometimes we might disagree on some concepts, and disagreement is not saying it is rubbish. Yeah. It is actually saying I've not yet understood it. So give me time to understand it. And by the time I do understand it, there's something else we're cooking right now. Another meal coming to the plate very soon. Coming here. You know, and within that, you know, I'm already there right now, but she is still trying to, you know, entering, you know, and everything she was doing, I'm like, you're not doing it well, this is wrong. You're just, and I had to just say, you know what, let's just watch it. Just like when we're going to talk about the bags as well, the delivery kits. When we started it was just, you know what, let me leave that story. We need to tell you the complete story of that.
Let me tell you another story before we go to the story of the kids. Okay, I remember I was watching a program. I think it was what they call it. It was something on social media. Yes, and it was what's the Oshomole, the governor of my own state.
Then.
See my state.
The governor.
Okay, sorry. Then governor. Sorry, then governor of that state. And he was with a primary school teacher, and she was trying to read her affidavit. And she couldn't read.
That video was viral. It was
yeah. She couldn't read her. I mean, people were laughing. It was funny, but this thing was paining me. You know, it pained me so much that I actually cried. I said, and this is a teacher, and she's going to teach kids. And that was actually the beginning of Readers and Writers Club. Now, this is how it works with us. So I took that, I showed it to him, and I was so pained. And I said, look, because of this thing there, I'm going to go out. I will go and reach to the children. I will talk to them. And my own personality, I'm an introvert. Fine, I have a bit of extroverted tendencies, but it's compared to he's like extrovert, like that side. So I had this great plan, and I wanted to do it by myself. I said, but guess what? He now came and said, this thing I want to do. So I'm like, what is my thing now? Why do you want to do it? What? And then he now says, by the time he took that, something just, and that's why I think as couples, it's very important for us to listen to each other and sometimes to shut ourselves up sometimes. So you know, and I said, okay, I said, what is even your own issue? What do you want to do? I wanted to go to the children and talk to them and everything. I had my own plan, and he says he wants to go and do it. I said, okay, fine. So let me just be there preparing the content. I'm telling you, when he went up to those kids, the way the thing, I would have never done it like that. So it's more like everybody has their own bits to do. So what I found out is that whenever I settle with my own and he settles with his own, when we bring it together, it is dynamite. Yeah. So by the time we stood in front of those kids, in short, I tell you that he was the one that was going. On the paper, it says, I'm the president of the club.
She's the president of the club. That's my
guy. That's the title. But he will go in front of those kids, he will dramatize, he will jump. There were schools that, in short, I remember schools would say, you cannot get the attention of these children. I'm talking of JS1 to SS3. And he will say, don't worry, let me just go. Once he's done, teachers, students,
we have schools.
They are screaming.
I mean, we're talking about we've visited over 200 schools in Lagos, and they total about 60,000 students
that we spoke to.
That we spoke to. You have the entire school just saying, you know what, come. I've been to schools where after we finish our talk, the principal will just tell us, can you come back? Our children are about to have their exams. Please come and speak to them.
Come and motivate them.
You honestly, if you go on our Facebook page, Scholarmania Readers and Writers Club, a lot of all these videos are there. I went to school and I'm on the assembly and I'm practically standing on one small stool and speaking because I know that children need engagement. They need their minds to be blown open. No. Make them excited, make them inspired. They need that energy. They need that thrust of power of So I try to put that in. Don't forget that the focus is about encouraging the reading culture. Yeah. You need to make them see books come alive. So when we pick a book and we try to narrate the story of the book, everybody's eyes just keeps, including the principal of the school. Yeah. The eyes just keep popping like, wow, and they go that way because we know what we want to achieve. Books are not boring. Books are exciting, but unless you open the pages and you read the text, you probably won't be able to do that. So that's what happens to us. We individually, we could have ideas individually, but by the time each of us put our minds together to it, now, of course, the approach to it will be different. I tell you, sincerely speaking, we conflict a lot. But because we understand that whatever disagreement we have in times of style of doing it is not going to be against the ultimate focus. It's just a difference in the way to do it. And if I understand that, if I come into our space and say, you know what, let me do your work, but let me add a little of my flavor to it, it's adopted still. It's the same thing. I said a lot of times, I said, look, you can't, I know that you can't do bad to me. And you should know that I can't do bad to you. Would I hurt you? Would you hurt me? It's possible. But I also know that whatever it seems to be hurting myself or hurting you, it's not intended to hurt you. It's just a communication of this is what I want to do. And that applies to business, applies to the believer lives, applies to ministry, applies to everything. See differently. Don't forget that we're first ones, very strong-willed people. My mind is strong-willed. She's a very strong, extremely strong choleric. See that smile on her face, a very choleric smile. Oh my gosh. But I, oh my goodness, I have the same passion. It's a fire in me. But when we put all that together, with understanding, we're able to know that she doesn't mean bad. I don't mean bad. We will get over it. I remember we heard a lot of all this couple thing that they say, okay, so here we go. You're not angry. And I say, I'm not going to eat your food. Who is going to suffer? I think it's the person that's not eating the food. So go back and eat the food, be happy, be cheerful, and move forward. At the end of the day, it works for us like that.
Fantastic, fantastic. I like the perspective of understanding oneself, understanding the dynamics that you bring to the table, and also understanding that, you know, you said something very profound, YM. You said that the other person may not yet have come into it. You know, it doesn't make whatever you're trying to do not valid. And it also, you know, you need to give time, you know, and it's very profound to hear that a particular thing stayed about 3 years before the other person got into it. Came into it. It wasn't really because these things were not great and fantastic ideas, but it was mainly because you both wanted to, you know, you really desired to work as a team on that project. And perhaps maybe we should ask, even if he had not come around, would that thing have still been valid? Would you, you know, because people need to recognize, and I know, and I recognize that a couple of people that watch this today, or even at some other times, we might have people that will watch that may just be staying away from doing this work of impact because they feel that their spouse is not supportive, or is not even, maybe not supportive, maybe not jumping into the train with them, maybe not being excited, you know, as they are, you know. So I really need us to speak to that before we go into the other things we want to speak. That how does a person handle a situation when a spouse is not ready to jump into it? You know, you've said one thing is to just give it time, but what other practical things can that person do?
Okay, I would say first of all that you must understand that impact, first of all, it starts with you. I would say impact is you. So you can't wait for anyone else, okay? Like, I'll give an example now, a typical example. I also sing too. And I remember a few years ago, I really wanted to do a song, and I wanted us to do the song together. I had that idea that would be so nice.
We used to be in the choir, by the way, back in the day. We made choristers in the choir. So you can tell me, come and sing now. I'm like,
and he's like,
I'm not like,
he's like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, dear, please now, it should be good, to be nice. I don't want to do it. I got the whole producer to come around. I got ginger him and mixing the beats, and it was good. And you're just going like, yeah, that's nice. That's it. Come on. I'm like, come on, drop your voice. I don't want to do it. And I just realized that, I mean, it's not everything your spouse is going to want to get involved in. It's not everything your friend wants to get involved in. But the truth is, impact is about you. And I went ahead and I did that song. And there are so many other things that I do currently.
But I was there throughout.
Yeah, he was there.
You know, those guys that come to the screen and go, yeah. I was doing all that part behind that.
Yeah, behind the scene. You know, so there are so many things that you're going to want to. Like right now in our lives, there are things that I do that, I mean, he's not interested in it. And it's fine. It's almost like having a meal. I mean, I can't say because I like to eat fried rice doesn't mean he must like to eat fried rice. Maybe he likes jollof rice. Maybe he doesn't even like rice at all. So instead, I just generally just eat my fried rice, and I give room for him to eat whatever he wants to eat. So in that same way now, there are so many other things. There are so many other things I do. like I have this passion for inspirational fiction. He's not a chick flick person. You know, I've built castles, I've dreamt all the way, but he's always saying, "Come on, ride on. It's great, great girl, great girl." But it's not for everything that I would say everywhere where our interests cross. Yes, we jump on board and do these things. But wherever we have different interests, we just go ahead and practice. So I'll speak to that person out there that is waiting for a husband, or that guy that is waiting for his spouse to join him before he creates impact. You don't need to wait for that. Just go ahead. Just go ahead and do what you need to do. Your spouse is there to support you in whatever way.
That's very, very important. That support is very, very important, because it to be odd, very, very odd, if the other party is not in support and is totally saying no dice. No, I don't think anybody should say no dice. I have never got to a point in anything that she wants to do, and vice versa, except maybe no, there's an except. Except maybe there's something she's seeing, sensing spiritually. Now that's very profound. Spiritually, that might not be, basically, I'm not conscious of. And when she comes up with that, I exercise caution. It might not be very comforting for me, because it means that I'm going to stop something, and I don't want to stop. I don't want to fly all the way and just get the thing done. But when she comes with that, and vice versa, I just exercise some restraint. For instance, there are times where, maybe not me now, her, when maybe she gets a job somewhere, and the job requires her to get somebody to help her with something. I mean, we did it for one of our programs, one of our jobs that we had way back, and I said, you know what, let me help you. I'll be your assistant. I'm husband, or she's wife, but right now on that job, she's my oga. Me, I'm the assistant to the oga. And so whatever she says she needs is what I do. She said, "Stop, don't run." Yes, ma'am, I won't run. In fact, we did it so perfectly, because we understand the play, that people did not even know we were married. Because I was just so, but anyway, she said, "Please let me bring that fire." Yes, ma'am. I'll bring it back. When we finish the job, I will get back to you. Honey, that thing you did today was, you should have known, you should have, okay, I will do it tomorrow. And then she changed tomorrow. And sometimes I'll just say, "Bring your phone, I will receive your calls. Don't do it." Just, I play assistant. And because I understand that she's the one that has to do the job, I must just help her to achieve what she can achieve as much as I can, do my part. So where I cannot do it, I say, you know, you need to get and start to do this. We need to get this, do that, you need to get. So we do all this. So sometimes it's not always plug and play. It might be plug and it's a problem with the play until the other party comes in and supports and support. But like I said, it's a lot of things benches on what's the foundation that you have built. When we were youth members in the church, we were both choristers, but then she became the president of the youth fellowship in church. Mm-hmm. Me, I was floor member. She was my oga. This madam here, she has been organizing me that day. She was my oga, and she was the head of the president, and she was the youth president. I wasn't even a member of the ESCO. I was just there. Whatever she says is what it is. And then we were friends. So by the time the president finished talking on the altar and speaking to everybody, we get back to our friendship, and I like, wow, that thing I said is not right. In fact, I didn't even know that she was like counting scope. I say, every time I want to see something, you're always against it. But when I get to the meeting, I said my voice is always heard. I'm always there. I say, "Excuse me, President, I don't think."
He wanted to cause an attack.
That was not the intention. But guess what? Less than 2 years of administration, the birth the good church.
And he became.
And the role changed.
Yeah.
I became the assistant pastor, and she was minister. And then she had to now play the role I was playing before, and play it. So whatever it is I say is what it is. And because we both know how the game changes and also what, we just harmonize across. But I think that's just the way it is. Even if she wants to do anything, I'm not in support of what she wants to do, because I've not yet seen it. That's where I see it. Mm-hmm. Hey, find out I'm behind you. I'm right behind. And then if I want to do and she's not in whatever, she's right behind. She'll be there to do whatever she. That's it.
Fantastic. I like the way both of you had worked this thing out and amicably, in a way that you both understand each other, because really that's where it all cuts in, your understanding of each other, and be able the ability to appreciate and just savor the differences, enjoy the differences, and just embrace all the dynamics that it brings to your relationship. I would like you to tell our viewers about how you came into the delivery kits. That story is really profound.
Glory.
Because our time is short, man, I would like us to be, please don't say plenty story about it. I'm begging.
Okay,
I
let
know
me try.
that we know the story, but I
Let me
really
try.
also want us to have
Okay,
the juice of the story. I need you to be able to tell us the juice with, in a very
okay, I will
summarized.
try. I will
Okay,
try.
I will shut up. I won't say anything.
Yeah, I will try. So this is it. I went into labor. And labor started at, I think it was at midnight. At midnight.
Mm.
So you know that whole labor thing, everybody. And the way it started was just started out of the blue because I mean we're watching TV. I was laughing. I was knitting. I was and before you know labor, and I'm like, I tell him, and he's like, I'm like, we have to go to the hospital now. And he's like, what do you mean now? I say like now, now, now. So the whole trips, hospital runs. And now I packed the bag, the delivery bag, because as an expectant mom, you pack your bag, unpack the bag, pack, keep doing it over and over again. So I've done that. But when he was to carry the bag, he accidentally.
At 12 midnight, I was the height of confusion I started. Everything was scattered. Like, okay, we're heading for the hospital. I said now, now, and I said now. And I went to the bag. Sorry, I went to the bag. This brother here opened the bag and took out the content of the bag
and carried the empty bag,
and I headed for the hospital. Confidently that we are going to born child today.
So we got to the hospital and immediately we got there, the doctors are like, baby's ready to come. Where are your delivery things? And he says, go and get them.
It says right there.
And then the nurse comes out saying that there's nothing there and all that. So that was actually, in a nutshell, that's how it happened. Baby was born about an hour later. He wanted to go back. And I said, go where? And leave me here. Whose hand am I going to be holding? So that's how we stayed. And thank God that the hospital, they didn't really have anything. Okay, we had, I think all that was in that bag was a bottle of bleach and a blanket.
That was all. The shawl. That was
yes, and the shawl. So they found a way and the delivery was done and they wrapped the baby in that shawl. And I remember he kept asking, don't you have
I was like,
don't you have a bag?
There must be a way to solve this.
Don't you should have something that has all these things. I mean, people always come here to have something that happens all the time. So after the delivery, we're just having a conversation, and that was when he started talking about it. He said, it would be a nice idea if we can do this thing. And I still remember that he went to the owner of the hospital and started convincing the owner why the owner needed to do this and why the owner needed to do the kits and everything and all that. And for some reason, I remember we came back like 3 months afterwards and nothing had been done, and you said there are people out there that need this thing. I mean, it happened to us. I'm sure it has happened to so many people. And that's how it started. And he just, got up and boom, entered into the market and
did all the research, visited all the hospitals I can visit.
I think we went to like 90 hospitals.
90 hospitals, notable hospitals in the whole of
Lagos.
Yeah,
whole of Lagos, did a lot of interviews, spoke to midwives, spoke to everybody, and at the end of the day, the kid was born. So that was actually how it started. I hope we did not use so much time to explain that.
But if you go on Facebook, my baby's first delivery kit, my baby's first Africa, you would find the old stories there with that little boy that was born that day that was wrapped in a blanket, like a baby in a manger. The picture is there. And all of that. So that's the story of the delivery kit. And since then, we've been delivering, talking to, and oh my goodness, it's been such an impact, really, to have that available for expectant mothers. The burden of going to look for those things again, because the hospitals are the ones who actually give you the list and send you out to go and. So what we just did was to go to the source, find out this, and then of course over time we have our own product in the mix and all of that, just so that you, an expectant mother, doesn't have to labor to find out those things that you essentially need to have. And then now, because of that alone, it has also opened up the door for women who are expecting. And you have a lot of them. In fact, we have delivered the kit to a lot of expectant mothers who are facing their baby. And to God be the glory, they've had children, a lot of them. Yeah. They just say, I'm buying it because I want to connect with something. I'm buying it because I want to buy it by faith. And it's happened. You have people who bought, for some people, who were not expecting, but I gave to that person, you're going to have your own child. Take all this, and you have your own child. And, it's been very, very, it's beyond just the enterprise. It's beyond the enterprise. We've delivered to Ikorodu, places way inside Ikorodu, and you see the mother there, the expectant mother there with her belly in the bush, more or less. the developing areas. And you know, so how are you going to cope? How do you find these things to buy? And you know, and by the time they've received the kit, the prayers they pray, oh my goodness, you need to. It's very
I think that's the most rewarding part of the delivery kit. Part of what we do is the way the women are they are so happy. You know, the prayers.
Very happy. Very happy.
The way we relate with them. I mean, I think that's the most rewarding thing. Because at that stage, when a woman is expecting, she's at a point where she's vulnerable, where she can't do a lot of things for herself. You know, so being able being able to reach out to them, it's just our phones are always buzzing. They ask us questions. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, we don't want to ask."
Ask. What's going on? We will tell. You know, sometimes when we become medical doctors who are trying to go and research what they're asking us, okay, we need to go and find out. We'll call some other doctors. Please tell us what happens when we come back and tell them. Sometimes we refer, yes. And there are times where we actually, for instance, we have some mothers who, because we understand what it means when you're expecting. And the things that happens to you, you're not in total control. Your body's changing, everything is changing, and then you take it back to somewhere like maybe you're living in Ikeja, you head for Okumaiko with a bag go and deliver, only for you to call the expectant mother and her phone is switched off. By the time you bring the bag back empty and you call her back and say, "What happened?" "I'm sorry, I slept off." Oh my goodness. We have to just say, "Oh, sorry, dear, it's okay." We can go behind the scene and say, "She slept off, and I don't go to that place." But because you understand what is going on, it's okay. It's a lot of things that, like I said, it's purely an impact package. And so far it's been really, really, you know, we understand. So we do well. We do well.
You know, it brings me to that story brings me to the uniqueness of what that kit has done. You know, I know that you had started a Facebook group since the kit was launched, and you know, you've provided support and direction, clarity, strength for early bloomers. There's something that you know, the younger families, you know, they have no idea about what they probably they have to do, they need to do, you know, when then even dealing with sometimes the post natal traumas that come with delivery and all of that. I know that you've done a lot of support for those people. And to also think, I know that this is not, you know, something that commonly we have shared as friends, is that you also had a time of waiting, you know, that also draws you to people, to younger families waiting, or having their children, or going through a time of you know, when they have to wait before they conceive. And so even giving the delivery kit as a gift, you know, to such type of people in anticipation for what they believe that they will have, is also something that you have also been doing and encouraging people to do. Can you tell us how that kit, you know, I know you've mentioned it, but I need you to specifically tell us how, you know, the impact of that kit has brought alive your own the pains from your heart that God, you know, over time you've seen the manifestation of grace through, and you feel like that kit is such a blessing to many women or families that are still waiting to conceive. Can you speak to that, please?
Okay, so yeah, it's so many layers of all these things. I remember the period when we were waiting. We waited for close to 5 years. And within the 5 years period, of course, we had cases of, you know, losing baby and all those things happened and everything. And then we remember it was at that time also that we heard of your Para Foundation came around. It's beautiful. And we were there for some of the meetings, and praying and trusting God. Never for once did we, and this is very profound, never for once did we settle in and just say, okay, so we don't have a child yet, and we begin to bury our heads in the dust. And no, that was not us.
I remember that we actually had what's that thing called? We had a fellowship for couples between the ages of 0 and 5. Because we knew that there were a lot of challenges. We were in that age, not like we were there.
Our eye, that other 5 years in marriage, our eye have seen, our eyes. Oh, good Lord. We could have periods where we had just conflict the night before or the day before, and we're heading back for our counselors in church. Excuse me, my I remember that you told us that when we get married, that this and this, we're having problems now. And they tell us it is premarital counseling.
There's no post-marital.
There's no post-marital. The remaining people learn as we move on. You know, that really prompted us to start the fellowship. But we had people in the fellowship who had 2, 3 children already. There were people who were married for within 5 years. They already had children. We had to take, but we didn't have any. And we were still bringing them together. We not once did we, because the children, we were convinced we don't make babies. Babies are going to come. They will come. It's God's gift. It's a different thing. What we must do is to ensure that both of us are in perfect health. And all the research, all the the tests we've done, everything says okay, we're fine. Then focus on what God has called you to do and keep doing your. When the time comes, the babies will come. And then because we had that period, we understood what happens when you wait. But then it's not an easy. It's not a walk in the park. Yeah. It's not particularly even while you're waiting that you lose babies within the oh my goodness. It's not. It's a serious thing. But regardless, we are the foundation of God. We still have that foundation of God, and as long as you focus on Him, just like the Bible talks about, just enjoying the cross for the glory that is ahead. Yeah. Just let go of everything else. Ignore them.
You know,
what is ahead is.
You know, the interesting thing was we didn't like set out to reach out to expectant mothers with delivery kits, but what we just found out was that when we would talk about the kids, we'll have mothers that would say things like, "I will also have my own."
A lot.
I believe so because we had gone through what we went through. It was very easy for us to relate with that. So when we saw so anytime we see anybody that says, "Oh, I desire this," we'll follow with a prayer.
Immediately. And you have a lot of people say, "Amen, amen, amen."
Follow with a positive word. So we didn't just leave those phrases hanging because we understood what it was to wait. I mean, the time of waiting, he was a pastor already. We're pastoring a church. Okay. And then your members are having babies and you're the one that is doing their naming ceremony. You know, and then you're expected to be strong for them. So it's not an easy thing. I mean, we are here smiling and everything, but it's not an easy thing. So we understood what it was. So we knew that out there, a lot of our waiting mothers, and interesting, a lot of our waiting mothers, and back then I would always try and look at babies' things, even though I wasn't expecting yet, because I was always like, "Oh, when will this come?" So that now gave us a way to reach out to mothers too, or expectant mothers, and say, "Look, it's okay, your baby will come," you know. And definitely now had people that were buying because it was a faith walk, and we join our faith with them, and we've had some testimonies. You know,
wow, fantastic! Thank you so much, Yvonne and Yemi, for coming on the show today. It's really been an amazing time just talking with you, sharing how your journey, you know, like I said, when we started, to our viewers, and I see all the people joining. Thank you so much for everyone watching right now. You know, we love you. We appreciate you. We hope and trust that today's episode, it would inspire you to begin to leave your impact. Yemi and Yvonne has really inspired me specifically, and I know they've inspired our viewers today as a couple making impact, you know, in the different things that they've had to go through in life at the different stages of their life. They have ensured that they are problem solvers. And, you know, I picked something from what you said, Ryan. You said that your outlook has to be to solve problems. Both of you already have that outlook of being problem solvers. You can complain about the problem, but you can also begin to look for the solution from within. Because, you know, Nigeria has so many problems to be solved. You know, so until we all begin to actually look for where is my part, what part do I have to play, it might not look like a big deal. But if every one of us begin to do one little part here, we will soon begin to solve all of the problems that we have as a nation. You know, so I'm so excited that, you know, the synergy that both of you have is transcending beyond, is moved beyond business. into actually making impact. And I'm super proud that you people are my parties any day. I'm so proud of you too and what you're
Thank
doing.
you.
Before you go
We're
on the
proud of you
show,
too.
before you
We're
go
proud
on the
of you
show,
I'm
too.
proud of you too, girl.
thank you. I would like you to speak to people. I would like you to speak about what the show is about, helping people to make impact every day. How can people begin to do the things that they need? I like that to be the most times the parting words from our guests. Can you tell our viewers and speak to people to how they can begin to make impact with their daily life, just living life, from that point, from the street, like I like to say in recent times, like from the impact street. Yeah, from the impact street, living life from the impact street. So I want people to begin to live on that street and live their lives from that place. Whatever they are or whoever they are, if every one of us start living from that point, can you speak to us? Speak to each of us today, please, both of you, as you
Okay,
conclude.
okay. As couples, how
You
how
know,
do we do that?
say it.
Okay, I'll just say that you should look around for things that you can solve, okay, in your immediate environment. Sometimes people are waiting for the big, big things, but look on your
Yeah.
streets. On your streets, identify that little boy that is not wearing shoes, that little Malam son that is not going to school, or someone that hasn't had a meal. Anybody can create impact. So let's just look for ways that we can touch people's lives, make people better. A nice word, a smile. I'm telling you, it can be as simple as that. Just start something small and let it grow as your capacity grows. That's it. So even a 5-year old can create impact. That's
Okay,
it.
so I'll add to that, and I would say to do that, you must be present. Be present. Wherever you are, be present. Don't be lost in the crowd. Don't hide behind the curtain of they said people have done. That's not you. You were not created people. You are a created person. Each of us have unique fingerprints. You are distinctly and uniquely made. God made you for a purpose. Be that person. And to be that person, you don't have to, don't hide behind anything. Don't fake an identity. Be you. Listen to me. As long as you can be you, relevance will meet you there. There are people who are just, back in the day, nobody ever thought a comedian would ever have any expression. But today, guess what? They're smiling to the bank. You can be just a person that just speaks and just tells somebody, please, can you help me to do this? And you'll talk to that person, gets the person fired up. There are people who are called, we call them coaches and, what do you call them, thought leaders, all these guys, the power system so that people can be. Just be present wherever you are. Don't be lost in the crowd. You have an identity, you have a presence. And as long as you are present, people will recognize your impact. You don't go and say, you might not show up and say, I want to make impact. Just be you for a start. Just be you for a start and be present for a start. And always think about values, adding value to the system that you're in. I trust that as long as we all stay within this scope, you will see God walk through you. The list of breakthroughs comes from tiniest of something that the person did. It's not always mega. No. I'm talking of videos that were videos that went viral.
It just takes
a little thing that you just sincere thing that you just did. And you find out the thing. Most of all the videos that go viral, but many of them look at the Ikorodu boys. What did they do? They just sat and just enjoyed themselves. They were having fun. That's what they did. And guess what? It makes sense.
That's impact.
That's impact. You don't know what will happen. And the beautiful thing, immediately you have the opportunity to do that little thing. Immediately you have the opportunity to do that little thing. And God blesses that thing, then you have a chance to do so much more. But it starts from that first thing that you do. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We love everyone. Love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Thank you.
Like we always say on the show, you can make impact with your life every day. People can make impact every day. Leave your impact. My name is Isioma Success Olubenga. Until we come your way next time, it is signing off with the Adefajos.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So much.
Goodness.